What is new? It's 13 minutes to 4. Let's see what we can fit in.
Okay, so Insyriated, which is also known as Leben and In Syria, I think was the title that it had in America. French-Belgian production, directed by cinematographer turned director Philippe Van Leeuw. Basically set in a building in Damascus, an apartment building in Damascus, in which a family and a group of people are trapped in by the sniper fire of civil war. The film takes place over a very sort of confined time period, and in the background we have the sound of helicopters, mortars, snipers, sirens, a constant background drone. The apartment is ruled over by this sort of matriarch figure played by Hem Abbas, who is really brilliant. And in the apartment are her family, her father-in-law, her daughters, her son, her daughter's boyfriend, the maid, and a couple who have a young baby. The couple are planning on leaving, on getting out that night, and the husband goes out to go and meet his contact. There's a line in it which is, "It's hard to leave what we've started here," which really reminded me of that documentary, Syrian Love Story. But as he makes his way across the streets, tragedy strikes. And what then happens is that the tragedy is seen by the maid, Delanin, and she's horrified, and she wants to say something about it, but the sort of matriarch figure says, no, you have to keep it to yourself. And this brings a sort of deception into the group. So on the outside, there is war raging, and on the inside, there is deception and distrust. Then there's a knock at the door, and it starts to turn into something resembling a home invasion movie that has moments in it of pure horror. One particularly distressing scene, which I think is actually handled very well in terms of dealing with what it's dealing with, but it was really, really genuinely harrowing. At times, I was reminded of that brilliant drama in a totally different setting, but that film Under the Shadow, which similarly was about a mother and a daughter in an apartment in which there's a mortar shell has come through the roof, but there's something else in the apartment. And this is a story in which there is a ghost in this house. There is literally a ghost in this house, metaphorically a ghost in this house, that somehow is bringing the outside inside. It's a tough watch. It's not an easy film to watch. It's very tense. It's very grueling, shot with claustrophobic kind of handheld urgency, and straying occasionally into, as I said, queasy kind of horror territory. Universally great performances. The film itself, I think, has a few missteps. I think there are moments in which it tips slightly into something that approaches melodrama, which is referenced, I think, a little bit by the score, which at first has this kind of almost ECG feel about it, this like a tense thing, but then at other moments moves into something which feels rather more kind of melodramatically constructed. But it was very gripping, and it was a film in which you really cared about the people and you really cared about what was happening to them. And as I said, it has moments in it. It's funny, we were talking about it before as being a coming-of-age movie with horror elements. I mean, this is a sort of social realist story with elements, again, taken from horror, but for to very different purposes. Over here, as I said, it is called Insyriated. I'm not sure that title entirely works.
No.
Because when I said it to you, you said, what, as in incinerate?
Yes.
You know,
is it a joke, or is it?
It is an odd title which doesn't really, I think, capture the film itself.